Josephus had access to the archive, the governmental records of the Roman government that killed Jesus. He was given access to the records, and Josephus wrote as part of a larger history. He wrote about that man Jesus, because this is the most important contemporary witness of Jesus. This is of extreme value to Christians. Therein lies the problem. Josephus' works are gone, except that they were transmitted through Christian hands. Christian scribes, writers, transmitted Josephus' works to us. But they did not just transmit Josephus' works. They altered Josephus' work. Josephus was a Jew who did not believe in Jesus. But Josephus' testimony, as it's called, as we get it in the Christian editions of his history, has Jesus a believing Christian. This is the value of the other Jew, Robert Iceland. Josephus, in his history, written in the first century, written only a couple decades after Jesus was killed, he had a section in his history on the early Jesus movement in Jerusalem, and a section on the physical form of Jesus. This original history of Josephus was written in Aramaic and then rewritten by him in Greek. The Greek has come down to us through Christian hands, and it's the Greek that has suffered at the hand of the Christian scribes. There was, however, luckily for us, there was a Slavonic, Old Russian translation that was made from the original Greek. Robert Iceland was able to reconstruct the original testimony of Josephus from the Russian translation of the original Greek. The Greek that did not suffer at the hands of Christian redactors, Christian scribes. Do you follow me? According to, so what Robert Iceland recognized what we have. A first century witness to Jesus, his early movement, and what he looked like. The oldest testimony we have of Jesus. There is no testimony that we have, non-biblical testimony that we have, is older than Josephus' testimony. We've had it for so long only as it suffered under the hand of Christian scribes. Robert Iceland was able to locate a non-Christian translation of the original Greek. How did Josephus, the first century Jew, describe Jesus? Or, to put it another way, how does the oldest extent, the earliest witness of Jesus, present Jesus? the reconstructed testimony of that first century Jew, Josephus says, at that time also there appeared a certain man of magic power, if it be meet to call him a man, whose name is Jesus, who is supposed to have raised dead persons and to have cured all disease. But his nature and his form were human, but he was a man of simple appearance, mature age, 33 things, had the non-historical order. But his nature and his form were human, but he was a man of simple appearance, mature age, black-skinned, short, old, black, and short. 3 cubits tall, with scant hair. Now, his hair wasn't flowing. With an undeveloped beard. That raggedy thing. You need to shave after 3 days. Look. Take that in for a moment. The early witness, non-biblical witness of Jesus, that was penned within decades, or depending on when he actually died, maybe within only a decade of Jesus, presented Jesus as short, mature, black, scant hair with a ragged beard. Imagine Mel Gibson having this man hung on the cross. Imagine that scene in the Passion, but replace that Jesus with this one. This happens to be the exact opposite of what was developed. Jesus is tall with a flowing beard versus the scanty beard that our earliest written testimony gives us to believe. He was tall, contrary to what our earliest testimony gives us to believe. He has long, flowing hair, contrary to what our earliest witness gives us to believe. And he's white, according to what our earliest witness gives us to believe. Now, a moment of truth, and this is between you and your God. I want to ask you, can you accept as your Lord and Savior a mature, short, ragged beard, black man? Can you accept him as your Savior? I'm not asking for a verbal testimony, but I'm asking you to honestly wrestle with this question. And that will enlighten you of the extent to which you too are a victim of white supremacy. Can a old, short, scanty beard black man be your Lord and Savior? Or must your Lord and Savior be tall, white, with long flowing black hair? Now, the early church fathers, the patriarchs of the early church, said Jesus was ugly. That, I guess, was supposed to be handsome white man was nobody's thought. The church fathers conceded from their perspective, white church fathers, that Jesus was ugly. He had no physical beauty because they couldn't see. They couldn't accept old, black, short, with a ragged beard as attractive. So they conceded that their Lord was ugly. But they may be a little better than us because they still accept it as Lord. Can you accept an old, short, black man with a raggedy beard as your Lord and Savior? Well, this is the oldest literary evidence, literary witness of Jesus. The oldest visual witness of Jesus absolutely confirms the same. This is the oldest visual depiction of Jesus that we have today. It's a painting that was found in 1921 on a wall of the baptismal chamber of the house church at Durham, which is in Syria. This church, in the painting, is dated to 235. It depicts Jesus raising Lazarus. It depicts Jesus healing a paralytic. Here we have the paralyzed believer on his bed. We have Jesus, who is short and black, as Josephus told us he was. Short and black, healing the paralytic. The paralytic getting up, taking his bed, and going on. So the earliest visual evidence agrees with the earliest literary evidence that Jesus was short and black. This is the oldest depiction of Jesus' baptism that we have. In a fresco in the catacombs of St. Callisto, the catacombs, the Romans didn't allow Christians to bury their dead within the city limits of Rome. So the Christians outside of the city dug underground burials for their family. Those underground burials are called catacombs. The catacombs now outside the city of Rome are under the administration of the Vatican Church. What they give us is early testimony of the early Christian community. In this particular catacomb or underground tomb, underground burial, Christian burial, dated from the 3rd century, we have Jesus being baptized by John the Baptist. Again, we have Jesus short